Shalom. Koholo Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rahakwadash. Yahweh will be the true name of the Heavenly Father. Bahashem means in the name. Yahweh Shai will be the true name of the Son of the Heavenly Father, who the world knows is Jesus Christ. But his true name is Yahweh Shai. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, and the other bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, love, and salutations to the Lord's elect is teaching in truth, sincerity, and diligence for the sake of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. World War III is an immutable event that's set to take place here on the earth. And immutable is something that's unchangeable, man. You see in which you see the kings of these nations is pretty much reaching for world peace. You see the people out in the world, they're praying for world peace, but yet that's not the intents and purposes of Yahweh Shai concerning his lifetime, in which the Lord has purposes for war, to break out, man. For tension to rise concerning war, in which this is what you're seeing. Because recently you had the event with Donald Trump, President Zelensky, and President Putin pretty much come together and had a council for a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. But ultimately, it came to naught. As the Lord said, the council of the heathen is going to come to naught because it's his council that's going to stand, man. You see, and the effects of that council coming to naught was Putin sending forth threats towards London and even towards the U.S. because the U.S. said that if Putin didn't want to take the plea deal, for the lack of better terms, that they was going to put sanctions on Russia, man, to ultimately cripple the economy. And Putin's response was he'll blow the U.S. away, man. In which we're going to get into it. But yet you see tension is rising concerning war because this is an immutable event, man. This is the intents and purposes of Yahweh Shai Shai. And this is ultimately how his vengeance is going to be on display. You see? But just going into this, this heading here, it says, U.S. President Donald Trump unveils $175 billion Golden Dome missile defense shield plan, man. You see, so this is another plan, another council of the heathen that's ultimately going to come to naught because the Lord has intents to destroy America, man, by thermonuclear fire, in which this is all these things leading to. These are the signs of the times, man. The Lord, he warned of wars and rumors of wars, in which we've seen these events intensify here on the earth. Why you concerned about a golden dome if you ain't, if war is not a thing, man? If war is not a potential event that can happen, man, or even this place getting nuked. You see, the people of the world, they're not considering this. You see, but yet the leaders of the nations are, real quick.
The protection of the homeland. Golden Dome is a bold and aggressive approach to hurry up and protect the homeland from our adversaries. We owe it to our children and our children's children to protect them and afford them a quality of life that we have all grown up enjoying. Golden Dome will afford that. I greatly appreciate your.
See,
it is time for the protection of the homeland.
Yeah, the guy, he got confidence in the Golden Dome. He says that the Golden Dome will, it would afford the life of their kids and their kids after them so that they can be safe and the U.S. can pretty much stand forever, in which that's the intents of the so-called white man, Esau Edom, which in his heart is that his house can continue forever, man. But the Lord is even going to bring that to naught because that Golden Dome is not going to hold up. You see, we seeing $178 billion plan for to go to shit, man. This nigga just wasted money. You see, because the Lord is still going to have this place penetrated by those missiles, real quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 50. It's like a 51. I'm starting at verse 6. It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. You see how you flee out of the midst of Babylon. This is speaking by way of the mind. You see, this is not speaking about getting on the plane and just going to a different landmass, different parts of the world. You going back to Africa. You delivering yourself by way of the mind. You see, you coming out of that American mindset in which, real quick, this is Romans 12:2. In the NLT, it says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, because the behavior and customs of America is an abomination in the eyes of the Lord. That's why the Lord finna destroy this place. You see, it says, but let the Most High transform you into a new person by changing the way you think, and ultimately by doing it, that's going to make you wise on the salvation. You see? Because salvation, it starts with a mindset. Deliverance, repentance, that's a mindset, man. It says, then you will learn to know the Most High's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. You see? Yeah, and let's see real quick. Something just came to mind, Ephesians 5. Let's see, Ephesians 5, I'm going to get verse 17. It says, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And this is ultimately the will of the Lord, to destroy America. But yet, for you to understand this, you would have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's ultimately you fleeing out of the midst of Babylon the Great, because Babylon, which is America, it pushes forth confusion, gray areas, you see, perplexity. That's all you find here in the society, man. Misinformation. This nigga tell you everything is gonna be all right. Don't be concerned with this. Just get money and live your life. But yet, the concern amongst these nations, it's like the concern amongst the kings is this place getting nuked. The other kings is nuking this place, man. You see? So your concern should be, if you're a so-called Black, Latino, Native American, Indian, which you're the children of Israel, your concern should be being delivered, man. Being saved out of the midst of Babylon, so that you won't be cut off in her iniquity, because the Lord is about to pay this place back a recompense, man. Real quick, just going back. Jeremiah 51 and verse 6 again, it says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. You see? He will render unto her a recompense, man. Yeah, you seeing we in the time of the Lord's vengeance, where we seeing things build up to that vengeance being on full display, man. You see, we seeing the carpet being rolled out that's going to introduce those missiles, that's going to lead those missiles to America, for the lack of a better term. But it going to say, verse 7, Babylon had been the golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. In which this is not speaking of ancient Babylon. Ancient Babylon didn't have, the influence over the whole planet Earth, man. Where all the nations is seeking after this American standard, or that Babylonian standard back then. No, this is speaking of America, Babylon the Great. Mystery daughter Babylon. You see, this place is the golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth, all the nations drunk, man. Who are all the earth drunken. You see, it says the nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. You see? So, yeah, they took the democracy, the different doctrines and things that came with America, and now they see the outcome of it. And now they're mad, man. Their society has become worse. The people in that society are fucking bugged out. You having LGBT protesting in India. They shouldn't even know nothing about that, man. You see, but yet that LGBT stuff started right here in America. Women in the East wearing leggings and shit out of order. That came from America, man. You see, but yet it done reached over there because the nations have drunken of her wine, man. You see, verse 8, it says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed. You see, Babylon is falling and destroyed, man. And we see this place collapsing day by day. It's becoming more and more evident that this place is on its last leg. You see, it says, we will have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Yeah, this place is pretty much too far gone. The best thing to do is to forsake her and let us go, everyone, into his own country, for her judgment reaching unto heaven and is lifted up to even to the skies, man. So judgment is about to come down on America, and we see the build up to it, man. You see, because the height of that judgment, that day of doom, is going to be through that thermonuclear fire, man. You see, and the nations are mad, and they all holding this nuclear arsenal because they're going to use it on America. Where is that? Verse 25, Jeremiah 51 and 25, it says, behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain. Said the Lord, yeah, and that destroying mountain is speaking of America. You see, it says, which destroys all the earth. And this place is responsible for that. Islands of plastic in the ocean. Animals beaching themselves, going extinct, chemtrails, GMO foods. This place is responsible for destroying the planet Earth. It's so much so they got a thing called climate change now. You know, you ain't hearing about climate change during the time of Babylon. You know, during the time of Nebuchadnezzar. You see, all these things came about under the rulership of the so-called white man Esau Edom, because he is as death. And through his rulership, the planet Earth is in the worst condition it's ever been. So the Lord is going to destroy this guy. You see? It says, and I will stretch out my hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks. Yeah, because he's at a high position. You know, he's pretty much lifted up in the skies, and the only way else to go is down, man. So the Lord, he's going to roll him down from that high and lofty position to being a base and a servant. You see? It says, and will make thee a burnt mountain. And he's going to do that by way of nuclear fire. World War III. This is why this is the concern here in the earth, man. You know, it goes back into that Isaiah 9 and verse 5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, man. Because this is going to be fought with ICBM missiles. So much so you have the guy, you have the president from China, I believe his name is Xi Jinping, coming out saying how America is trying to make space a war ground, man. You see? But that shows you that this is the fate, man. This is what these roads is leading to, World War III. And this is the event that's going to uproot America, man. You know, real quick, just to go into a few articles to show that their tension is rising, man. Yeah, it says here, Poon tells Trump he won't consider peace deal because Russia is on the verge of victory, man. You see, in which just what I was speaking on earlier, and even I did a lesson on it, how the nations, they was seeking for ceasefire, in which you had Pakistan and India. You know, they came to a ceasefire, but yet they tried to get Russia and Ukraine to come to a ceasefire, and Poon wasn't having it, man. He won't consider it. You see? Yeah, it says Moscow's airports temporarily halted flights today following what was described as a massive Ukrainian kamikaze drone strike on the Russian capital. It says with reports surfacing that that President Vladimir Putin is dismissing any peace offers due to his belief in an impending victory. You see, this nigga, he don't even want to talk about peace. And that's your how by Shemal was shot. That shows that the Lord counsel is gonna stand, man. Hey, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. You want world peace. You praying for that shit, man. The Lord not with that, you know, concerning this lifetime. You see, it ain't gonna be until the children of Israel come into power for the nation not to learn war no more. But while Esau Edom, while you got the devil still in power, you need a gun. You actually need a fucking missile, man. Having this nigga in power. You see, but you see how the Lord is not allowing things to die down. No matter how far you reach or how many prayers you throw up. That's the spirit. Trump threatens Apple with a 25% tariff if it doesn't build iPhones in America, man. You see, trade wars. You know, it's your how about Shemal Shah causing tension to grow. It says Poon's mouthpiece calls for Russia to nuke London and World War III threat. You see? So this guy he ain't chilling out, man. You know, how about Shemal Shah got him full steam ahead. You see, it says here, Kremlin propagandists have escalated tension with a new threat against Britain, suggesting the detonation of a nuclear bomb over London, triggering a world war. You see, and this is Poon who's sending forth these threats, showing that war is immutable, man. World War III is immutable. It's unchangeable. You see? Continuing on, it says here, China issues grave warning over Donald Trump's war zone outer space missile system. You see, it says China has accused President Donald Trump of uh, materializing space with the development of the United States' new Golden Dome for America missile defense program. The ambitious new ballistic missile protection screen, similar to Israel's Iron Dome system, is designed to shield the entire continental United States. You see, so this guy, he's trying to shield this place from being nuked, but it's still gonna get hit up, man. You see, with 200 million missiles, because these things was written. Yeah, it says here, Putin's hitman threatens to blow U.S. to hell with radioactive tsunami as World War III fears explode, man. You see? It says a prominent Vladimir Putin propagandist has unleashed a scathing tirade against the United States on Russian television, warning of a nuclear tsunami that will obliterate the country in response to potential U.S. sanctions aimed at crippling the Russian economy. So they ain't having it, man. But you see things is taking place that's going to cause World War III to become more of a concern, or even, more talked about here in the earth, man. You see, but this is Yahweh Shema Shine. This is ultimately how he's going to overthrow America, Babylon the Great. Real quick, this is Revelations 18 and verse 7. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I said the queen am no widow and should see no sorrow. And you see that mindset being planned out to your average American. They don't think America going to be destroyed or a missile can penetrate this place. Now you talking about a golden dome. They already thought they had the baddest missile defense system, but now you putting a golden dome on top of it. That's going to up the pride, which is going to be, which is going to be a setup for that great fall. But they're going to say, therefore, shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai who judges her. So it's the Lord that's for the judge America. And he's going to send forth a series of plagues that's going to lead up to them thermonuclear missiles, which is, he said death, mourning, famine, in which we often speak about these things, man. You see, it says, and the kings of the earth, which have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her. Yeah, these different kings, Poon, Zelensky, Zazin, and the other kings of these nations that lived deliciously with her. It says should bewail her and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning. You see? So this is the end all be all for this place, man. The Lord tell you, Revelations 11 and verse 14, how that the second war is past, and behold, the third war coming quickly. That third war was World War III, and it's happening quickly. You see tension rising, man. You see people is reaching for world peace, but the Lord is bringing those things to naught, because the day of doom, the scene has to complement doom. You see, for Yahweh Shai to return and firmly establish the kingdom of heaven, in which when you go into that word doom, it goes into a terrible fate. And what fate is more terrible than a thermonuclear holocaust fate? You see? But yeah, I pray that you was edified, giving all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakwa Dash, Lord, once in this video. Shalom.